welcome everyone to another match in the Mafia Scum Modern Super League. Been quite a while since we've done one of these, but we are back today with another match, and a very interesting match, as we'll get to in a moment. And commentating this match with me today is Ya. Ya, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. So what's the matchup that we have going on today?
So we have the weirdest thing, which is a mirror match between two Blue Moon decks. So these are pretty close to the same main deck. Cows.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
pull cows up first here, yeah.
Both of these are on the Torrential Gearhulk plan. So there are some Blue Moon decks which have experimented with Madcap Experiment and things like Platinum Angel or Platinum Aquarian. That's not what this is. This is just straight control. Blue-red deck, put in a Blood Moon with the hope that basically you will mess up your opponent more than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And win with Torrential Gearhulks while also getting some value off Snapcaster Mages and Vendilion Click.
Right.
Cow in here has two Chandras, so that is one difference.
Mm-hmm.
And the other big difference, main deck moving over to Kdowns' deck, uh, he's got an extra Torrential Gearhulk, but also hidden in the lands, there's one Academy Ruins. So he has this ability to actually loop back Gearhulks.
Right.
Even if one gets destroyed, he can bring it right back and keep doing this and try to exhaust his opponent.
He has more ability for infinite value through
Yeah.
the ruins.
And also a problem with control decks is if you don't close, eventually you run into a situation where you're at risk of milling out.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be a win condition in the very late game. If Kdowns finds the Academy Ruins, he's not at any risk for this. He can't be milled.
Right, absolutely. And certainly the very interesting part of this matchup is that, as you said, both these decks usually rely on Blood Moon to try and disrupt the enemy deck, and mana base specifically. But because both decks are built with that in mind, neither of these decks are very vulnerable to Blood Moon.
Yeah, they're both going to side them out. Now, in game one, it's not necessarily terrible depending on the draw. Like, if your opponent just happens to not find for a while either basic islands or ways to fetch basic islands, then your Blood Moon might actually cut them off blue for a little bit, which could be a serious thing to deal with.
Absolutely.
But it's pretty much a side issue.
And again, to your point earlier, it does also provide an answer to the Academy Ruins for Game 1 specifically.
Right.
So, between these two decks are very, very similar in the main board. Or in the main deck, I should say. Do you think either of them has an advantage in this Game 1?
I am not sure. It's really going to depend on play skill, I think, in game one,
Okay.
more than anything else. That possibly favors Kdowns. I think he has a little bit more experience with this kind of deck, but we'll see.
Alright, so on that note, let's go down to the game board here. And I believe Cow is on the play, so let's take a look at Cow's.
Actually, he won the die roll, but he decided to take the draw.
Oh, he did. I apologize. Okay, I did. I had seen that he had won the die roll. I hadn't seen that. So while we wait here for Kdowns to reconnect to the board, do you want to talk through a little bit why we're seeing him pick to be on the draw in this matchup when usually winning the die roll you want to be on the play?
Well, it's a control match. So the big thing that you want to do early is you want to make sure that you get all your land drops. And that means you want enough cards to do it. More cards is always good in control. It means you have more consistent land drops, which means you'll have more consistent mana. You'll have more cards when fights get picked to possibly win them with counter magic. So this is probably the best choice for Cow to be making.
So then let's take a look at Kdowns' hand then, I guess. He's on the play, so let's look at his hand first. So looking at the hand here, we see a couple islands, a mountain, a sulfur falls, a blood moon, engineered explosives, and cryptic. My guess is this
So,
is junk, but
well, the good thing is he has 4 lands.
right.
Like, that is important.
Which, to your point,
Uh,
that's very important. But I don't think just the
and two of
cryptic
them are
is enough. Do you think this hand is looking to be keepable then?
Um, man, I mean, there's 2 cards that might be dead here, which isn't good, but there's 4 lands, which is. I'm not sure you're getting much better than 2 basic islands if you send this back. So I think he might keep this.
Yeah. Okay. And to your point, this is not a game that's going to be, solved or won in the first 3 or 4 turns anyway, in all likelihood. So, definitely has the ability to draw into gas and has the lands. As we were about to hop over to Cow's hand, just another bit of an issue with the internet. If you bear with us for one moment.
So since I can see Cow's hand at the moment,
yeah,
what he has is 2 Scalding Tarns, 2 Scalding Tarns, 1 Steam Vents, 2 Blood Moon, Torrential Gearhulk, and a Chandra Tortured Defiance.
Okay.
So the good things is 3 lands, he's on the draw, 2 ways to fight to get basic islands.
Mm-hmm.
So that is useful. 2 win conditions, this is not really the time you want your win conditions, and the Blood Moons are completely dead.
Right.
In
one
his hand,
win condition.
Sorry,
go ahead.
While the engineered explosives can at least maybe pick off a Snapcaster Mage at some point in the future. So this one, I'm not sure. This one I'd be a little bit more tempted to send back.
Right, and I mean, certainly having 1 win condition can be nice because it lets you provide some sort of clock, but 2 is definitely not what you're looking for right off the bat.
Especially when one of them is a 6-drop.
Yeah, one of them is absolutely. A 6-drop that you don't even want to drop on 6, usually.
Right.
Okay, so, yeah, let's let the mulligan. Let's take a look and see what Kdowns is going to do with the mulligan. He is keeping his hand.
Both are keeping.
Both are keeping. Okay.
Both figure out that they have enough lands.
Right.
So we are underway. So yeah, Kdowns will play a basic island.
Yep.
Cow will draw a card. It is a spell snare.
That's
okay.
Gas. That is
at least some action.
Yeah.
As he drops a Scalding Tarn. Kdowns draws a lightning bolt, drops a Sulfur Falls, and will pass it back. These first few turns should happen fairly quickly, just because there's not a lot of thinking involved. Cow has just drawn a Spirebluff Canal, drops another Scalding Tarn, pass it back, and Kdowns has his Gearhulk. So the question here is, and he doesn't even bother with the Blood Moon.
We are flying through the first few turns here.
Cow's going to crack both of his fetches.
Yeah.
And presumably fetch 2 basic islands.
Mm-hmm. Now the question is if Cow wants to drop a Blood Moon. I wouldn't imagine so based on...
No, you see 2 basic islands across the table, you're not going to bother.
Unless you think you may as well get it out of the way now while you have the mana available. But I think putting your shields down for that is not worth it.
Yeah, and he just drew a mana leak, so there's no way now. He's just going to drop the Spirebluff Canal, because it's the last chance to get it in untapped. Moving back over to Kdowns, draws another Torrential Gearhulk. Not quite so good. At least he's still got land drops.
Yeah, but all he has is Cryptic, so if Cow does decide to go for something...
Cow just got a Flooded Strand. That means he now has 3 islands, guaranteed. He's just going to drop a Steam Vents Tapped right now.
Back to Kdowns.
Serum Visions. Okay, so this is something he's going to send off right now,
It,
just because he's trying to hit land drops.
it does take
Draws,
him off
unfortunately, a Lightning Bolt.
his only, um, his only counter magic though.
And the first two cards on the top of his deck that he's trying to decide between are a Bolt and a Leak.
Which should he keep?
He's keeping one on top, one on the bottom. He should probably keep the Leak.
I would think so.
And looking at the top cards, that is exactly what he's done.
If Cow goes for something now, he can land.
Well, he just drew an Electrolyze.
Yeah.
So what he should probably do is just drop the land. He'll fetch for a basic island, and he can cycle the Electrolyze. Kdowns is going to be discarding, and the Blood Moon is going to be going to the graveyard.
One would assume, anyway. I can't imagine wanting to keep it.
No. That is. And Cal will take the opportunity to cycle off this Electrolyze.
Electrolyze is, of course, not very useful in the matchup for the damage, so really it's just 3 mana, draw a card.
And draw a card.
And
so
finds another land.
Kdowns will allow this to happen. There's going to be another basic island coming up. And the draw off of that Electrolyze was a Sulphur Falls. So Cal is definitely in the lead here.
And now he can drop
having land.
Chandra with Mana Leak up, right?
With both Mana Leak and Spell Snare up. And Kdowns actually drops, surprisingly, the Engineered Explosives.
No, he can't. He doesn't have both up. He only has 6 mana, I believe.
Right. But he has both available.
Oh, sorry.
So
yes.
if he gets Mana Leak, he just Spell Snares the Mana Leak.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Now the problem is that's not a great thing. It's not going to work out for him because the thing on the other side is actually 2 Lightning Bolts.
Correct. Yeah.
It will get 2 cards out of maybe 3 cards out of Kdowns' hand. So
Yep.
Kdowns is going to leak. This is going to get snared. Nope. Actually, Cow doesn't even bother fighting back.
That's interesting.
Kdowns draws an island, plays it, and just passes.
That's interesting to me.
And Cow is going to drop an island. He's got a Snapcaster Mage at the ready now. And Kdowns draws an Electrolyze and passes.
Unfortunately, Cow
now has another spell slot.
Yeah, he's very far ahead because of his land drops and counter magic, but doesn't have anything to force through, unfortunately.
Well, the thing is, he can very simply draw a card, drop a Blood Moon into the graveyard.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem. Here's an Electrolyze for Kdowns. It's going to do 2 damage and draw a second Electrolyze.
Not a problem, just doesn't let him, unfortunately, capitalize on what otherwise might be a lead for him.
Yeah. Draw for turn is a Flooded Strand, though, so everyone's pretty much set on that, which is... Now it becomes an issue of poking around, seeing what you can do. Cow's just firing off a
Does he have
Snapcaster Mage
any
at
targets
end of
for it?
turn.
Oh, Electrolyze. He's cycling his Electrolyze.
Yeah, there's an Electrolyze. It might just be an Ambush Rifle. Okay, target. You have to target something. He decided to target an Electrolyze. He's going to cast the Electrolyze.
May as well. Like I said, doesn't have a ton of value, but has a ton of counter magic in hand, so not a huge need for the Snapcaster. So this way he gets some damage onto Kdowns and is able to cycle further into his deck, and puts a threat on the board that Snapcaster will have to be dealt with at some point.
But it might be better to just sit on it. Like, it might be more valuable waiting for something better in the graveyard.
It might
there isn't any rush here.
But just...
draw off of the Electrolyze his Serum Visions. Draw for turn is a Lightning Bolt.
But it does allow him to just dig further into his deck, and really, this is a value-based matchup at this point. So, being able to draw more cards, I think, at the moment, is certainly valuable. I expect to see the Serum Visions here.
Lightning Bolt hits the Snapcaster Mage before it deals damage, which is a subtle mistake, I think. Followed up by a Serum Visions. Serum Visions draws a Tarn, and Cow is now considering Mana Leak and another Snapcaster Mage.
Sorry, what was the subtle mistake you mentioned there?
The thing is, you don't want to put down mana during your opponent's turn if you don't have to.
Okay.
So 2 damage is not a big deal. Like, you can take it and just wait till end of turn and bolt then.
Right, okay.
And that means you have your defenses up for the entire turn. As Cow just drops another land and passes, Kdowns is going to cycle off an Electrolyze. Also, the Electrolyze would have been the better choice to hit the Snapcaster Mage with anyway.
Correct. You're wasting less damage, you're using more mana. And of course, using more mana is a good thing in this case, because you want the cheaper spells in your hand if you have a choice between them.
Yeah, but also, like, Electrolyze doesn't do a huge amount.
Yeah.
It only really kills Snapcaster Mages anyway.
And you're casting the Electrolyze anyway. So now you basically just bolted face. In fact, you accomplished less than had you just bolted face. Bolting face would have been an upgrade. Because you would have dealt more damage to face.
And the draw of the Electrolyze was a Scalding Tarn, and Kdowns is just going to fetch a basic island here as well.
So at what point do we start seeing the players try to force through a Gearhulk?
You would need a lot more lands at this point. What might happen more is some chip shot damage. Like Cow has coming up, he just drew a Snapcaster, so he has Bolt, Snap, Bolt available to him, which is Kdowns at 15, that's 6 damage, maybe 8 if the Snapcaster Mage manages to come in. So there's some chance of pushing a little bit there, and running Kdowns down a little bit on cards before trying to force through a draw. Cow moves to discard and discards a Blood Moon. Kdowns draws a Spell Snare.
The important thing to note here as well is that Kdowns having 2 Gearhulks does give him the flexibility to try to force one through at the end of Cow's turn, and then if Cow responds,
Here it comes. So end of turn, Bolt.
Yep, now he's down to 12.
Now he's down to 12. The question is, do you go for the Snapcaster now? He's going to fetch first.
And is there just a Bolt for burn in the graveyard for Cow right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Picks up a Chandra. That's a fantastic draw.
Picked up a Chandra. So you just untap, pick up a Chandra. That's a fine one.
Yep. Yeah, because it doesn't use up all your mana like a Gearhulk would.
Right, and that should draw out the Cryptic.
One would assume.
Yeah.
And does have enough to pay for Mana Leak as well. We'll have to see what Cow chooses to do with this.
So it's counter draw on the stack. Probably you let this go.
Yeah, because like the only counter spell you have that's relevant is Mana Leak, which can be paid for.
Yeah, and you don't want to be tapping down too much on your own turn, because you could just get hit with something.
Right.
When Kdowns untaps.
Yeah,
so
results.
he just lets us go.
And Kdowns
draws a Snapcaster Mage. So now Kdowns has a pile of burn. Both of them are on 12. Kdowns effectively has 9 points of burn between the Lightning Bolts in his hand and the Snapcaster Mage that he just drew.
And there's also a Bolt in the graveyard, I believe.
Yeah, well, he only has flashback on one with the Snapcaster
No, but
Mage.
it needs
Actually,
another
he could
snap.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he could use Gearhulk for it as well.
Hmm.
So there's a lot. There's a chance here.
Yeah, that represents lethal, assuming Cow can't deal with any of them, which he will be able to. But in terms of just chipping
Well,
through some,
he can at least snare the Snapcaster Mage.
yeah,
All right, so Kdowns drawing for turn, unless he wants to fire off something before. Okay,
looks
I'll
like he's
tap
gonna
his
fetch
Scalding
at
Tarn.
least. Yeah, I think you try to get through a bolt while your opponent is a bit tapped down.
Yeah, it's possible. I think also he might fetch for, yeah, a duel here, not just a big, because you want a little bit of red mana with your bolt plan.
Mm-hmm. Chooses not to fire
And
anything off.
yeah, he's bringing that in tapped and then untapping.
Yeah.
He's just shortcutting. So draw, drop the Scalding Tarn,
And passing the turn.
and passes. That's interesting because he had Cow squeezed a little bit on mana.
Yeah.
So he could have just, as we see Cow draw and fire off his Serum Visions, he could have actually tried for something there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get the perfect scenario in these matchups as Cow draws into more burn, more cycle. You're never going to get the perfect situation, right? So it's all about just playing your cards.
Electrolyze, yep.
When there's
He's looking at a Harvest Pyre and a Flooded Strand.
Yeah, you just want to play your cards when there's the highest chance that you could force something through or force your opponent to do something awkward. And he did have Cow in a position with very constrained on mana, where he might have been able to either, like I say, either get something through or force a really awkward counter spell that left Cow weak on a future turn. But sort of let him off the hook a little bit. So we'll have to see if he's able to, in the future, find an even better situation.
Both of those are going on bottom.
Mm.
And passes. So here comes a bolt from Kdowns. It's looking like this might come down to burn.
Yep.
That one will connect. Cow drops to 9.
Now, do you reveal the second bolt? Okay, I guess he chooses
Yeah,
to.
yeah. There's no reason not to. You can't get leaked. I don't think you do anything more than this. I think this is the extent of what you do this end step.
Is that better than Bolt Snapcaster Bolt
Fine.
instead?
It's a little bit more mana efficient.
Okay.
Oh, he's going for the... Yeah, this is getting snared.
This has to
He's
get
going
snared,
for the Snapcaster Mage. This is going to hit a spell snare. There is no way for Kdowns to stop that.
Right. And now Kdowns has left himself a little bit vulnerable, I think. Unless he's just going to jam a Gearhulk. Well, he gets Cryptic
Well,
Command. Yeah,
that helps.
That helps a lot, actually.
Here comes the Cryptic. Passes back. So this is probably just going to be a cycle of Electrolyze.
Mm-hmm. But now, that gets Kdowns down to 9. And allows Cow to cycle. Cow has a Snapcaster, has the Gearhulk, and has Counter Magic up. Oh.
Oh!
Oh, this is a problem.
Gearhulk time.
This is a big problem.
He just walked that into a leak.
Yeah.
5, 6.
Yeah,
but he's got snares. No, he's got snares. This is okay. Wait, no, it's not.
No, it's not, because Cow also has a snare.
But a snare can't counter a snare.
Oh, does Kdowns have 2 snares? Sorry. No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He only have the 1. Oh, right, but the snare... Yeah,
This
okay.
is fine. Snares can't counter each other. So that Gearhulk is going to resolve.
Yeah.
Gearhulk is going to target...
A bolt, I would assume.
Well, it could target a counterspell depending on what he expects. Torrential Gears are hard to, counter draw from Cryptic. Gearhulks are hard to remove for these decks. That was weird. Misclick. So the spell snare is going to go away. Kdowns draws a Serum Visions off of that, which
Mm-hmm.
not a big deal. Now, of course, this happened on the end of Kdowns' turn, so Cow gets to untap here
Right.
and has basically impunity to try to do something.
Right.
So now Cow gets to slam a Gear
Which
Hulk.
is
He
why it would
does
have been
do a
disastrous
mana
had
leak.
that Gear Hulk not resolved.
Yeah.
But what does Cow have in his graveyard here? Does he have a way to deal with this Gear Hulk?
Does he need one besides blocking?
I suppose not. I think you
Because
Gear
he can
Hulk
slam it?
into Electrolyze to dig further.
Yeah, that's, I think, tempting.
You have 8 mana available. I don't believe Kdowns took the damage from the last Electrolyze. Unless it was countered.
It got countered.
Oh, did it get countered? Okay.
It got countered by the Cryptic. It was countered.
Right,
back.
okay, yeah.
So here comes the Torrential Gear Hulk. It is going to target a...
The Electrolyze, obviously.
It's either that or a Bolt. Okay, it's Electrolyze.
Bolt is less relevant with the 11 health, because you're still getting him down to 9.
True.
And you're getting to draw a
Draws a
card.
land. It's going to come in tap, but it's still a land.
Does have mana leak up, but that's it.
Yeah. And passes back. Yeah, the danger here is Cryptic Command bounce your stuff.
Yeah, Cryptic Command bouncer stuff
And
hit
attack.
you, and then Cow would be at 1.
I mean, there's no real backup to that is the problem, but...
No, but it just puts Cow on so
you're
little
okay.
margin for
yeah,
error.
you're... Yeah.
I think you can dig for lethal with Serum Visions, right? Do you have enough mana for that?
Why would you drop a Blood Moon here?
Oh! Because Cow tapped his mana.
Because the only blue mana left open is dual lands.
Mm-hmm.
So this leaves Cryptic open. This is a really clever
you could pay for mana leak anyway.
bit of timing.
I'm not sure
You
I like
don't
this.
even...
You're spending
but
the
you
3
just
mana.
bleed off a mana leak.
Yeah, but you're spending the 3 mana you would have paid for the mana leak anyway. And now you don't have that 3 mana to dig for lethal with Serum Visions.
That was never going to be the plan anyway, I don't think. And besides, there's still 2 lands up, and what are you going to find in terms of...
Electrolyze?
Okay, so Cow floats a blue mana and then lets the Blood Moon resolve. Kdowns is actually going to wait. So he's going to switch his plan here. He's going to move to attacks. Torrential Gear Hulks are going to bounce off each other. Those 2 fetch lands are no longer fetch lands.
No, before blocks, I believe we are seeing the Cryptic. Yeah.
Okay, so before blocks we see the Cryptic. He was just moving into the combat
yeah. Just to
in
get rid of
order
that
to drain that floating mana. This is going to draw another Torrential Gear Hulk. This is pretty much over. This is going to take Cow down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not drawing into a lot. Because simply a Gear Hulk off the top, that is a dead draw.
Explosives.
Explosives. Yeah. Simply dropping a Gear Hulk is enough to flash back a Bolt or anything in the yard for the win.
Yeah, and there's no way to stop the Gear Hulk because there's a mana leak that can be paid for.
And that's it. So he's just passing the turn back to Kdowns. And draw for turn is a Sulphur Falls. Kdowns should just attack. Well, play the land.
Yeah, attack first. Attack. Force Cow to use mana
to do something.
To block the attack.
Alright, Serum Visions is fine. But there's no reason to do anything else. Serum Visions into Serum Visions. The top two cards are a mana leak and an island.
I think I like the attack first, just a little bit, just because you can see how much Cow is forced to commit before you
and then
look for, because you don't know what you're looking for until you see what Cow had to use to stop your attack.
Right. I'll keep one on top, one on bottom.
This is a stupid question, but Kdowns does have a burn spell in his graveyard, right?
Oh yeah, he has 3 bolts.
I thought so. I just wanted to double check.
Alright,
see,
so he's
now
going
you're
to use
spending
the other
more and
Serum
more
Visions.
mana.
Well, he's drawing into a mana leak, is what he thinks.
No, he is,
what he's
but
doing.
I just feel like if you attack
It's just
first,
not particularly relevant.
I just think if you attack first, you force Cow to use a fair bit of mana, usually.
Yeah. And top 2 cards are both lands.
Yeah. No, I mean, we know the game's over, to be clear. Just talking in terms of slight, like, ways you lose this game, I think, are spending mana on a Serum Visions that gets you nothing.
Right. So what should happen is you should attack. Cow will have to flash in something to block, whether it's a Snapcaster Mage or a Torrential Gearhulk, and then the other Gearhulk for Kdowns is going to come down and just end this.
Because if Cow has to flash in Gearhulk, he also has to tap a bunch of mana and reveal which spell he's casting. And then you're just so free to drop your other Gearhulk totally unopposed.
Note also that with the other problem here is that you need to spend the remaining 2 islands in order to cast the Gearhulk. Like, he's tapped down 2 islands, and now everything else is red because he's on Blood Moon.
Right.
So it's just a little bit
sketchy
situation, which is, it's, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to make this more difficult than it already is. So in response to Gearhulk, we're going to see Gearhulk.
Even now, I feel like you should be making Cow commit to whatever his Gearhulk's enter the battlefield trigger is first, just to get the most information.
And here's the problem. There's only 2 mana left up.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it is blue. So
there's 3.
Not anymore, there isn't.
Looks like he has 3 untapped.
For Kdowns, only has 2 lands untapped.
Oh no, he has 3 untapped. It looks like he has a tap. Okay, yeah, so now if this gets mana leaked, now we, all of a sudden...
Now this gets leaked.
Yeah, see, this is why spending that 2 mana on those Serum Visions
mattered.
Does Kdowns realize he has no access to blue?
He walked himself into this.
Yeah.
The 2 Serum Visions were the way that he got leaked.
No,
he didn't have to do this.
No, this is why you attack first, just to get as much information on the table as possible.
Yeah.
Now your shields are down, you're untapped, and Cow has a turret.
Well, but the Torrential Gearhulk can flash back a burn spell to hit the other Gearhulk.
Yeah.
Kdowns just lost his Gearhulk.
I mean, Kdowns might just die.
Well, he's still at 9. And a bolt left the yard. So, it's not quite so simple.
I mean, Cow could have put him to 1 and wait and hope to draw into lethal. I might have wanted to see that because Cow is at 1 and is at the mercy of...
No, you had to take the Gearhulk off the table. I'm fine with taking the Gearhulk off the table. Because you can't attack and leave an untapped Gearhulk on the other side. Like,
you can if you win.
Yeah, true.
Like, I think Cow's
could you have untapped in 1?
Yeah, I mean, if that bolt goes face, Kdowns goes to 6.
Hold on a second. Okay, he got it. The bolt went to the wrong place.
If bolt had gone to face, Cow would be attacking Kdowns down to 1 right now, and have a chance to have drawn into lethal.
But he doesn't have another bolt in his yard, is the only thing.
No,
if
I know,
he
but now he's
then he would be untapping into Snapcaster Win.
Isn't he
but
just,
here,
like,
this
dead?
is the safer way to go.
I guess.
Kdowns is at 4, and there's no... Is there... Yeah, there's lethal burn in the yard still.
I feel like Cow Cow's out was to go all in on trying to
Was to go
find
all in.
lethal
Yeah, you're right.
by getting a top deck bolt or something.
You're right. He
Um,
probably thinks that since he's seen and dealt with 2 torrential gearhulks, there isn't a third,
right.
but there's a third.
Of course, he knows there's a third in the list. He may not
But
realize there's a third in the hand. No, of course. He doesn't have anything in his graveyard he can snapcaster, does he?
He has a bunch of leaks.
No.
If he snapcaster leak, yeah, that's it. There's just leaks.
There's no cryptic
He
or
can
anything?
snapcaster leaks, but then you pay for it.
Yeah, there's no cryptic, there's no...
Yeah, his only hope is something like snapcaster leak and hope that his opponent decides to leak back. Like, hope for a mistake. Because if his opponent decides to leak back, there is a spell snare.
Right.
But
and that's what just happened.
if you pay...
No, that just happened.
It's over. It's still... Wow. This is going to work out. Because he spell snares this, and then the final mana leak just gets paid for.
Did Kdowns not have a spell snare in hand?
What just happened?
Kdowns scooped. Did he not have a spell snare in hand?
I have an error that just showed up. That said my octagon has stopped working. Hold on a second.
Okay, hold on. We need to... So Cow took game 1. Kdowns scooped. Cow took game 1.
Cow took
game
game
you've
1.
just disconnected now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to reboot Octagon now.
Okay. I'll let the players know.
It did not like something. So anyway, at least it happened in between games. Fine. Close the program. Sorry about that. That was very strange. Anyway, at least this happened in the middle. So what happened was, spell snare hit back. It was all in sequencing. Kdowns had the win.
I feel like even at the end, even when he mana leaked instead of paying for the leak, and then his mana leak got snared, didn't he have a snare in hand that he could just let his mana leak get snared and then still snare back? No?
He had a mana. He had a mana.
Oh, he had 2 mana leaks in hand. Okay.
Cow had enough to pay for it, so it just didn't work out.
But again, it goes back to the serum visions, and it goes back to just paying for... I mean, he doesn't know, obviously, that Cow has nothing else if he pays for the leak, to be fair. Like, we know that if he pays for the leak on that final turn, he wins. He doesn't necessarily know that.
Right. You're dealing with a lot of uncertainty here. But on the on the Serum Visions turn...
Yeah, just attack first. If you attack first, you force Cow to tap down, and what we know is that it would have forced Cow to tap 6 mana for a Gearhulk, not just 2 for a Snapcaster. And then you have all the time in the world to use your Gearhulk to burn him out.
Right.
So, some issues in sequencing there. Perhaps some slight errors. Oh, do we need to make a new room? Is that what's happening?
I think so.
Okay.
Because with no spectators or anything, there's no way to join a game in the middle.
Right. Okay.
So while we're doing this, we can look at sideboards because they're going to be looking at sideboards fairly soon.
Right. So, in terms of sideboards, let's take a look first at Kdowns' list. So these sideboards do have some differences, unlike the main decks.
Oh yeah, like this is surprisingly different. So Kdowns has in the sideboard 2 Anger of the Gods, 1 Dispel, 2 Negate, 1 Click, 4 Ceremonious Rejection, 1 Engineered Explosives, 1
Yeah,
Roast,
the sideboard is
1
up
Dismember,
on
1 Glimmer of Genius, and 1 Vandal Blast. This is not the sideboard he quite wants. He can go a little bit reactive here. So Dispel is good because you're going to be countering counter magic. Negates are good for the same sort of reason.
Right.
The extra Click is good because it can give you information and it's another way to push through damage.
Right. All those things
Engineered
good.
Explosives was kind of dead anyway. Roast is normally a good removal spell, but not here. It can't hit a Gearhulk. Ceremonious Projection does nothing. Engineered Explosives does nothing. Dismember is a good way to take 4 damage. The Glimmer of Genius is good. You want to gain more cards. And the Vandal Blast actually is useful here. Like, it just reads 1 red mana, kill target Gearhulk.
Right.
So that's okay. Things that are bad, the 3 Blood Moons and the 2 Engineered Explosives have got to go.
Mm-hmm.
That gives 5 slots. 4... and so probably we'll see in those 5 slots the Dispel, 2 Negates, the Click, and the Glimmer of Genius, and he might try to find a slot for the Vandal Blast somewhere in the rest of it.
Right. Anything else on that sideboard before we take a look at what Cow is bringing?
So that's probably what we'll see from Kdowns.
So if we flip over to Cow's sideboard, we see it here on screen. Very, very different, obviously.
This is a lot more active. Like, this is designed to deal with control matchups.
Mm-hmm. Which, obviously, in this case, very, very
Which
good.
Well
yeah,
here.
that is
exactly
the preferred option at this point.
So the great stuff in here, there is 2 Negates, same usefulness as before, but more proactively, there is a Jace Architect effect, there's a Harvest Pyre, there's a Batterskull, there's 2 Vandal Blasts, there's 2 Pia and Kirinelar, and the best card in here is a Keranos, God of Storms. If that, I don't see how Kdowns wins.
Right.
Like, that is just pretty much unbeatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, certainly Cow has a lot more gas in his board for this matchup.
As for what's coming out, the 4 Blood Moons are coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and the 2 Engineered Explosives.
Mm-hmm.
That's 6. We get in...
Sorry, how many cards did we say
Jace?
we're bringing in? Yeah, Jace, 2 Negates.
Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Easy. With Jace, 2 Negate, 1 Keranos. The 2 Pia and Kirinelar probably, just because they're spread out over a bunch of bodies, so the hydrogen move. That said, the Batterskull is decent. The Vidalcan Shackles are not bad.
Right,
Like,
as
you
for
could steal
Batterskull,
a Gearhulk, legitimately.
as we saw with the previous matchup, sometimes it does come down to this, this burning out, and that becomes a lot harder if you have a Batterskull in play. Gives you the advantage.
Right. I mean, Batterskull is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's probably decent because Kdowns only has the 1 Vandal Black.
Right.
So,
and
if it hits the table, it will probably stay around.
And again, just to clear up for anyone watching, the players do have full information of the full deck lists for each other. So that is not an issue here. Both players are able to plan their sideboard knowing fully what the other person has.
Right. Okay, apparently I need to manually kill that?
Alright, yeah, 1 second. I apologize, everyone. There are just some technical issues here.
Weird how this is
sort
working.
through here.
Alright, so I am going to reboot a second time.
I do apologize for this, everyone. Just give me a moment here as we try to work through some technical issues here on our end.
and hopefully the third time works. So I think coming out of the board, Cal actually has an advantage
Mm-hmm.
and has a reasonably large advantage because it's just threats, and they're really sticky threats, and they're hard threats to remove. So plus Cal has more ways to remove opposing gear hulks out of the board
Right.
if he decides to go that way. So it's just this flexible game plan that is going to be a little bit difficult to deal with.
Right. Batterskull helps him with chip damage. He has more answers to the Gear Hulks. Just a lot of different, and he has more win conditions. So a lot of little edges that, when you add them together, do give Cow what looks to be a relatively sizable advantage.
Yeah. Both players as well might consider taking out the spell snares. They're kind of the weakest of the counter spells.
Right.
So that might be where they find the extra room for some of this stuff.
And is there any thought to ever trimming lands to get another couple cards in, or are hitting your land? No,
absolutely not. This is a control matchup.
Yeah.
And in Modern, you are already usually a little squeezed on lands, so there's no way.
I was going to say, if anything, the players might almost want to board in another couple basics just to ensure they're hitting their land drops.
Yeah, if they had them, they probably would.
That's what I mean, yeah. So, definitely. Alright, we should be hopping into game momentarily here. Apologies for any delays. So would you say that would be very surprising if Kdowns is able to win the 2 post-board matches he needs to win, or games he needs to win?
Sorry, I was just dealing with if people were in the room.
Oh, yeah. So Kdowns needs to now win 2 games post-board. And from what we see here, I think that is fairly unlikely.
It's difficult. I think he probably had the slightly better main board for this matchup, but the play down the stretch there, I think it gets harder.
Yeah, I think the expected result was for Kdowns to be up 1-0, with Cow having the better matchup post-board and seeing if he can win both post-board games. But I think it's a lot trickier for Kdowns to win both post-board games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Now, I mean, he does have, I believe, he does have more Cryptex, which is at least something. So that is a sort of universal answer that he's a little bit more able to fund. But it's going to be a little tough. Okay. Kdowns might be having another internet issue.
Alright. We are just going to take the stream offline for just a moment, just while we sort out, hopefully just a moment, as we sort out these issues. And then hopefully in a few minutes we will be back with Game 2 and potentially Game 3 of this series. So we should be back as soon as possible. Thank you.
I'll tell them to sideboard away.
Alright, welcome back, everyone. Sorry for that little technical gap there. Just wanted to make sure we got everything sorted out so there wasn't too much of a delay on stream. We are back. We have Game 2 coming up between Cow and Kdowns playing a Blue Moon Mirror. We just saw Kdowns win the first game. Or sorry, we saw Cow win the first game. And we just went over sideboarding before the break, so not going to go too much over that, but the takeaway is that Cow has a much better sideboard. I think we both agree.
Yeah, he has a much better sideboard to deal with.
As he has both more threats, more answers, and just a lot more stuff relevant to the control matchup, whereas Kdown's sideboard is a lot more aggro focused, unfortunately for him.
Alright, so Cow has moved out the Blood Moons, moved out the Engineered Explosives, in have come the Negates. In comes the Jace, In come the Pia and Karen Nalars.
Mm-hmm.
In comes the Batterskull.
Mm-hmm. So curious what's going to come out then, because this is a lot of this. This is basically everything that we had thought would go in or could go in, but
most of the sideboard could have gone in.
Yeah, that's
like,
true. He had a very good sideboard for this matchup.
I think there was an extra engineered explosives and 2 Anger of the Gods that couldn't have gone in. Was pretty much it. I'm surprised to not see the Keranos. He might be trying to find an extra card to take out for that.
Yeah.
I would certainly have put that in before the Batterskull. It's just... So, the Batterskull is moving out for Keranos. Because Keranos is just so much better.
Oh, Keranos is absolutely very, very strong. And did you get a chance to see what Kdowns is boarding in and out as we...
He has not touched anything yet.
Okay.
Which is a little surprising.
Did he just not board at all, or did we just not see the boarding happen? Can you verify what's in his board?
He's going back in.
Okay.
He's going back in. He just hasn't moved anything around yet.
There we go.
I can't imagine that he won't board. Like, the Blood Moons need to go. They're terrible.
I mean, yeah, at the very least, like you said, the Blood Moons.
I mean, Dispels are good. Negates are good. The Glimmer of Genius is good. So is the Click. Like, he has some cards that he can bring in to improve stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so the Negates have come in.
Reasonable.
As has the Dispel. And the Click. And presumably Glimmer of Genius or the Vandal Blast first. Okay, the 3 Blood Moons have come out.
Mm-hmm.
Engineered Explosives is coming out.
Reasonable.
Well, 1 Engineered Explosives has come out.
Because the only real target for that is what?
So
Snapcaster, I guess?
Yeah, Snapcaster range, that's it. Okay, there's the second one. I mean, if you know the sideboard, you might decide to keep it in to kill some Thopter tokens, but that seems a little weak.
Right, I think, yeah.
The Vandal Blast went in. I thought the Glimmer should have gone in first, actually. He needs to get more cards to match up with what Cow is doing out of the board.
Yeah.
But that's it. He's leaving the Glimmer in the... He's choosing to be on the play.
All right. Choosing to be on the play as well. As we head down to the table, the one thing that I always find a little interesting is, Cow just chose to be on the draw. So by Kdowns choosing to be on the play, it is kind of saying, I think Cow made a mistake in his choice.
Yeah.
Because obviously one of them is better off, this board state, or this state of who goes first, favors one of them. Right?
Right.
It 100% does. So, but let's take a look at Kdowns' hand here. This is not keeping.
It's one land, yeah. And nothing you would want that costs less than 3. This has got to go back.
So let's hop over to Cow's land.
On the other hand,
equally.
Well, he's got slightly more lands. This is interesting.
On the draw, I think this
because
is really
he's got
interesting.
2 lands. Yeah, he's got 2 lands only, but almost everything interacts. He's got negate, he's got a bolt, he's got a leak, he's got a snare. This is a very tempting 2-land hand.
3 early counter spells and a bolt.
Especially on the draw, and especially when he's going to see Kdowns mulligan first.
Yeah, so you get what? You get 3 cards to find your 3rd land drop?
Yeah.
That should be fine.
He might just end up keeping this.
Yeah, because especially once you get out to 6, your odds of hitting a 3 or 4 lander go significantly down. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
hitting getting a 3 lander on 6 means half your hand is land, and obviously that's a very big ask. So I think this is a good keep. It's not a great hand, but I think it's keepable.
Yeah.
And
it's
one of the ways you could lose this.
What it is.
One of the ways you lose this game is by mulliganing down to 4, right? So I think a keepable hand.
But there's enough.
Yeah, I think this is fine for Cal. I don't think this is anywhere near keepable for Kdowns.
Yeah. Not coming through here. Okay, so Kdowns looks like he's going to mull.
I would hope so. I mean, there's nothing you want to play at all really before Cryptic, because you don't want to be jamming Vendilion on 3, ideally.
All right, he's got a chat glitch. We've just sent him a message.
There we go.
So he goes down to 6. This is 3 lands, so he's got to keep that. Cow decides to mull. He decides he does not have enough land.
This hand is a lot better.
Yeah, he got 3 lands. He got a Jason. He got a Spell Snare.
This hand is
better.
So
yeah, they'll definitely keep this.
And as we saw last game, you don't need early interaction because the other player likely isn't going to try to jam through something on turn 2 because the risk of getting countered is just so high.
Yep, Kdowns has decided to keep the 6.
And I assume Cow will do the same.
And Cow is also keeping.
As we see both players scry.
Now they are both going to scry. Kdowns is looking at a land, Flooded Strand.
I think you keep that.
Which I think is a definite keep. Cow has moved his to the bottom, and it was an Electrolyze. Yeah, that's fair.
Cow kept his on top. Kdowns moved his to the bottom.
Whoa. Why would you shift a land? Okay. Cow kept an island. Basic island.
Okay.
Why would you ever ship a land? That's a control matchup. 3 is not enough.
Yeah, especially on the play. Yeah, I don't know. As we see the Polluted Delta come down first for Kdowns, ships the turn to Cow, who draws, you said an island is what he's going to draw? Yeah, basic island.
That's what it is.
So now he has the ability to slam Jace on 4 if he wants to.
Well, you can't, because there's going to be stuff across the table. But he's going to be able to work towards it.
And now, I mean, with only 3 lands in hand, again, I know it's a small thing. I don't know if I'd be fetching before I draw. Because I want to draw a land, like, really badly.
Well, I don't know why you ship a land.
Right. I guess he doesn't want to. Yeah.
Draws a Glimmer of Genius.
Oh, so the Glimmer did come in. Okay.
No, it didn't. He had one main deck.
Oh, did he have one main deck?
He should have brought. I was thinking you should have brought in the second.
Yeah. No. Okay. You're right.
So Sulfur Falls is what he draws. Cow is fetching up an island on end step, and his draw for the turn is another island. Things are looking good.
And again, Cow has limited counter magic, but you're not afraid of Kdowns jamming something on 3 or 4 usually, because again, it's just such a big risk, right? Like you get blown out if you try to jam, Jace on 4 and it gets countered.
Right. And Kdowns has no more lands in hand. He drew a bolt
Mm-hmm.
for the turn. So he's probably going to fire off an Electrolyze on the turn trying to search for one, but if he doesn't find one, he could end up in trouble.
Especially because
Cow's just drawing all islands.
And once Cow realizes
Right.
that Kdowns is short on lands, this is going to be a big problem. Kdowns
Why
is
he
bolting?
firing off the bolt? I don't understand.
It's much less mana efficient.
He drew an electrolyze. He has no lands to drop right now.
He has no lands, and he wasted the 2 mana anyway. Like,
yeah.
Having a bolt in hand is strictly better than having the electrolyze in hand.
Land for Cow is a mountain. He drew a PN Karanar, so now there's 2 threats.
There has to be an electrolyze end of turn,
to deal
right?
with. Yeah, there has to be. He needs to get his lands.
Okay.
Yeah, here it comes.
But, like, he loses the game if he whiffs on 2 lands right now. Okay,
absolutely. Okay, this is a good one. Loot House. That's going to get him back into this.
Yeah.
Because now he has this recurring source of card quality.
He does have to be careful that if he loots end of turn, Cow can respond with something like a Gear Hulk, right?
Absolutely.
And it looks like Cow is deciding to punish.
He's just going for it.
Why not?
Because he's got a spell snare up.
Yeah, he's got a spell snare, and we've seen that Kdowns has
been...
yeah.
Kdowns would need to have a Cryptic here. And he doesn't.
Right. And so we see Jace, Architect of Thought, land.
Now this is interesting. You've seen 2 burn spells already. Mm-hmm. So what do you do with Jace? Do you try to save him, or do you try to get the cards now?
I think you try to get the cards now, because even if you try to save him, he's dead to Bolt plus another burn spell anyway.
Well, you've seen a Bolt and you've seen an Electrolyze.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to see a mini Fact of Fiction that is going to, well, pull up 2 extra lands, which is including a Lighthouse, which is not good, or a PN Karanar, which again, not what you want to see.
I think you have to separate the 2 lands and Pia, which Cow is very happy to take the 2 lands.
Yeah. Pia and Karen just go to the bottom of the library, 2 lands come off, and now Kdowns has a Jace to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he drew a land, drew a Flooded Strand, that helps. He's going to have to use something on the Jace. It's going to be a Bolt. Mm-hmm. But, you know, that's a Bolt that's not going to other stuff.
Right.
So Cow drops a Steam Vents untapped. Here comes PN Karanar.
Mm-hmm. With Mana Leak backup.
With Mana Leak backup. Now, Kdowns can deal with either Mom and Dad or their little Thopter friends.
Right.
With the Electrolyze, but not both.
Maybe. If
he might...
Does Cow even want to let that Electrolyze resolve?
He might decide instead to just Glimmer here.
Yeah, because he needs to find a lot of stuff.
Oh, no. He's taking 3. That means he's going for the Electrolyze. He's getting a Steam Vents.
Yeah.
Untapped.
Now,
and
how big
the only
of a deal
reason
is
I
it
could see doing
for
that,
Cow to put his shields down fully to counter this Electrolyze? I think if this is his best answer to P and Kieran, you risk it.
I don't think you do anything about this.
No?
2 a turn is still something that... No, I wouldn't have done anything about that.
I would, just because...
2 a turn is still not easy to deal with. Also, it doesn't even matter. It's going to connect. So you just wasted, effectively. Did he not snare it?
No.
That was weird. Vandal Blast is nowhere near as good.
No. It's a sorcery, and it's way too expensive to get rid of both the artifacts.
Yeah, I mean, he can tap out to get rid of the 2 Thopters, but that's not a good use of his mana here.
At sorcery speed, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. He can try to Glimmer, leaving up an island, and make some land drops.
Yeah.
that might be the best option here.
I mean, I think
Uh,
it's either that or bluff,
he's
right?
going to get clocked. What is he doing? That's not it.
He has to.
He decided to just show a spell snare.
Which makes it a lot harder to bluff. And he
You're
just
allowed to do that.
So.
He's passing it back. And, oh boy, Cow just drew a cryptic and drops the loot house and swings in for 4.
Swings for 4, which is a 4-turn clock.
Very bad.
Yeah, so
This is about to get very bad.
He has Kdowns on a 4-turn clock. He has Cryptic. He has Gear Help.
Yeah. Kdowns down to 12. Past the turn. Here comes a Glimmer of Genius. Do you bother with this?
I think you do when you know that one of the 2 cards in your opponent's hand is Spell Snare that's dead. To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, also, you don't want your opponent drawing out of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your opponent has...
And you've got to...
Oh, that's it.
And that's going to just earn a scoop.
You know, unfortunately, due to the... Whether it's a misclick, Cow knows that Kdowns had 1 card in his hand that was relevant, because Spell Snare, not super relevant.
Well, he didn't have the option to mana leak it anyway. He didn't have mana leak it.
No, but just in terms of what you're leaving yourself open to, I mean. Like, you just know your opponent doesn't have much in his hand. So I think you do, stop him from scrying 2 and drawing 2.
Yeah, I don't know why Kdowns did not snare the mana leak, because that would have let him clear out something.
Mm-hmm. And draw more, and draw another card, right? It would have gone 1 deeper.
Yeah. Would have gone 1 deeper, and the clock would have been whichever half of this problem you took care of. The clock would have been cut in half, which would have given him a while to try to figure this out.
Absolutely. All right. Well, any other final thoughts on the match before we wrap it up?
No, this is about how control works when you have a good sideboard for it.
Mm-hmm.
Threats tend to beat answers when the answers aren't quite good enough.
Yeah. So we saw, much more interesting game in the first game. That was more closely contested, that there may have been some slight inefficiencies. And then in the second game, we just saw a blowout from a better draw, a better sideboard, and just, had all the answers.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for today. I apologize. We didn't have too much Magic today. Don't know when we're going to come back with more Magic, because there are some issues getting the last few matches in, as you could probably tell by the fact there was quite a delay for this one. So we will try to get the remaining matches in as soon as possible, or else find an alternate way to progress the tournament. So bear with us on that note, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.